They open a 6-game homestand today. They get the Giants first, followed by the Reds. So pretty good slate to get well. Bryce Miller gets to start tonight. Mariners lost 5 of 6 going into the All-Star break. Now, we get to that trade deadline. Team president Jerry DiPoto talked to Seattle Times this week, and he kind of echoed what we've talked about on this show. I don't think there's much available for the Mariners in the trade market. I think the Mariners would have to give up way too much for too little in return. Jerry told the Times, the best players we can acquire are the players we have. We just need them to do the things that they have historically done. I think he's exactly right. You have several guys on long-term contracts, and you're paying them millions of dollars. They have to perform, and I think they will perform. Former Mariner Bill Kruger is a regular on the show. Bill says Julio will be the one who shines in the second half.
When you put up 14 and 40 for Julio in the first half, that's pretty good because this guy is lightning in the second half. We've seen it time and time again. You see where the numbers sit right now. And this is about the time that he took off last year when he tore up Detroit over that series right before the break, and you knew he'd found his timing. When the weather warms up, this guy, yeah, he's from the Dominican, his bat warms up, and no more important a time it is that right now for the Mariners because that middle of the lineup really needs him to carry the team, and he's got the capability of doing that.
All right, let's just keep it right there for a second. And Julio, before we break down a little bit more about Bryce Miller getting the start tonight, Julio's off to one of his best first halves for sure in his very young major league career. But this guy, I'm expecting big things from him in the second half. And I know that he's going to get healthy and come back, and I think he's going to deliver.
Yeah, second half Julio is always what we're willing to see and hoping to see, and I think that he's going to ride his first half from momentum back into this as soon as he's, feeling good from that concussion when he's back here tonight. He has the best differential between first half and second half, or the second best in the entire major league. So the way that he improves in the second half is actually incredible.
Yeah, I think it's exactly right. Having him have an incredible second half of the season is going to be monumental for the Mariners team. Going into the second half of the season, they need their big guys to step up. And he's what bigger guy on this roster than Julio Rodriguez, right? I think we're going to get him going, getting back off this concussion protocol, get his bat really moving, getting the guys in the dugout really motivated. We need to see him step up, Cal Raleigh step up, and of course Arozarena is doing his thing already. So again, getting him back and getting him healthy and getting him in the swing thing in the second half is going to be really important.
Yeah, I think it will help to take a little pressure off of Cal Raleigh and some of these other guys as well. I mean, Julio is one of the clear leaders on this ball club. Bryce Miller does get the start tonight. That's always a good thing when he takes the hill. Hopefully the break from the game physically and maybe more importantly mentally will help this team out as they go into the second half. Because, after a while, especially when you go in on that skid that they had down in Florida, it's a good chance to just kind of push away and say, we're a better team than this. And you look at some of the numbers that Bryce is putting up. His last start wasn't as impressive as he's been, but we certainly know he's got plenty in the tank.
I think he's been one of the most impressive pitchers on the staff this season, and it was just, it was clouded a little bit by the performance down in Miami, but he has really looked great ever since he came back from that injury.
Yeah, I think what we saw down in Miami that last game that he played in was a glitch in the matrix. It was definitely not what we normally see from Bryce Miller, and he's been one of my favorites all season long. Actually, has been my personal favorite pitcher in this entire staff of great pitchers, and I think when we get him going tonight, you're going to see him throwing strikeouts. I think you're going to see him throwing, getting guys hitting balls off foul balls. It's going to be a great outing for Bryce, for me, and I think he's going to be the momentum that keeps this team going.
All right, let's look at what the possibilities are for this team as they go forward in the second half. I know Mariners fans would love to see their team make a trade before the August 3rd deadline. The way it looks now, I just think the return on investment won't be there. Let's bring in Dusty Baker for a deep dive into the trade targets. Dusty, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, guys. There's a lot of talk, of course, during the All-Star break about where do the Mariners go. Of course, they're kind of in that middle ground right now in not only the AL West, but also the wild card standing. So when you're talking about what they're going to do moving forward, I think it's first important to at least say this. They need to win games these next couple of days. days. They have the Giants at home, then they have the Reds at home as well. If you lose 4 out of 6, 5 of those 6 games, you're talking about are you possibly sellers, right? But if you win the next 4 or 5 games, okay, you're right in the hunt. Do you then buy? Because the deadline's nearing, guys. August the 3rd is when it's coming up. So before we get started here, how important from your guys' perspective are these next couple games? Because in my eyes, at the very least, I think these are the most crucial games of the season for this team.
No, I mean, it's hard to argue against it. The fact that you want to get off to a strong second-half start. You have the Giants and Reds both coming to town with losing records, both teams struggling. So, I mean, listen, there's always been that knock against the Mariners that they play down to their competition. So they faced 2 of the best teams in the majors last week in Florida. It didn't go well. I hope these guys don't play down to their competition in the next. I see them winning 5 of 6 in this homestand.
Well, and I can't disagree with you more, Dusty, because no matter whatever happens in this series, they're still only like a couple games out of first place in the division. And as I said, they have to win this division in order to make the playoffs. And they're still not going to be out of it, even if they lose some of these games. Now, I think morally, for their morale, they have to win these games. Right, against these competitions.
Yeah, of course you have to win these games. Again, they're still major league teams, right? But again, these are not your best teams in the league. You're looking at a team like the Giants, who are playing under 500. The Reds, another team that has been struggling all season long. This is a couple of series where you get right. You get your guys right. You get your pitching in order. You know, are we doing the piggyback still? Are we going through the 6-man lineup? What are we doing? Can we get the bats going? But I do agree with you with this, Dusty, that if you don't win the majority of the games in this season, the writing is kind of on the wall for you, right? If you can't beat up on the little guys in the league, do we start planning for the future now? Do we start taking the guys that we have of value on this roster and seeing what we can get for them out in the open market?
Yeah, Terry, that's such a great point, and that'll lead us directly into this deep dive, which is who are the trade pieces for the Mariners as we approach this deadline? Because this could go one of 2 ways. So let's start with way number 1, which is they are buyers. So one of those pieces will be one of the prospects that will be highly touted and talked about, Michael Arroyo. And you're talking about one of the more talented players in their system right now. He's hitting .293 with a .368 on-base percentage, a slug percentage at .481 in the minors right now. He was recently promoted to AAA. Here's the thing, guys. He is an infielder. There is not a lot of opportunity for him right now to be starting, let alone having any sort of play time. So the question is, does he have a potential spot on this big league roster, whether that's this year, down the road, and is he expendable? I think I turn it to you guys on this one as far as, is this a piece that you can part with and you'd feel okay with? Because in my eyes, if you are buyers, this is a guy that you probably are going to be pushing forward for a piece that can help you at least win right now.
I think part of the problem with having such a great farm system is there is no place to put these guys. I mean, they've got a lot of studs at that level, but there's nowhere to put them, especially on that infield. So I think if you're going to deal guys, I'd rather keep the arms around and deal the position players.
Yeah, I think that it's a decision in the front office. Are we playing for right now, or are we playing for the future? Yeah. We look in the infield and see who we looking at can be moved potentially. Who can we get rid of and look for someone young to step into that position, and we work with this young person and get them to be our player for the future.
It's a positive either way, because no matter what, you're saying that this is one of your best players in your farm system, so you can obviously get a lot in return for him. But then if you keep him, then you got a great player there. But I really don't think they have any room in that infield, especially that middle infield. If you got Colt Emerson and Cole Young, who are going to be holding that down for hopefully a really long time in the future. And there's that.
Yeah, and of course, when you talk about they just drafted Ace Reese, too, right? So that's a third base prospect that probably has a fairly immediate future. At the end of the day, guys, I think this is probably your piece that, yes, he has significant value. He's not expendable per se, but he's the guy that probably can get you the piece you need right now. Number 4 on this list, another one that's a little more brief of a talk and I think less likely to trade, is Felnin Celestin. He is a top prospect in the system. He's younger. He's in high A. He is slugging guys, consistently putting out base knocks. He's acquiring significant bases. Here's the question. Does he not only not have a spot right now because he's not going to be at the MLB level this year, but does he have a spot in 2 years from now? Because as Ariel pointed out, you have a very young infield that at the end of the day, there may not be an opening far down the road. So is he a guy that you could possibly trade to acquire a big fish?
Well, at least as an outfielder, you do have a little bit more room to work with Felnin. And also, I mean, I know a lot of his issues are his fielding, and they've been having a lot of problems with fielding in the outfield. He did show some improvements right leading up to the All-Star break, but that's probably one that you want to hold on to and try to develop a little bit more and either get more return for him or put him into your system.
Yeah, definitely. He's a young guy, so much upside. I don't think we need to be in a rush to get him to put him in the league, in the major league system just yet. But my big question with either one of these guys is, looking at the Mariners right now, what are the things that we need the most on this team to make them take that next step? In my opinion, it's offense. Guys that can swing the bat. And do we have guys in the system that can swing the bat? I think you're looking at a couple of guys in Arroyo and Celestin that we just looked at. These are both guys that we see can swing the bat. And do we need that right now? Do we need that in the next couple of years? And is that trade-off with moving somebody around in the infield or the outfield that we currently have on the roster worth it? Now, again, in my personal opinion, I think we need to get some guys in here that can do some offensive damage.
All right, Dusty, so we've hit on some prospects.
Yeah.
How about some of the bigger names?
Yeah, let's hit on these two guys, both starting pitchers. One that you've heard dragged all through the trade rumors, that's Luis Castillo. And I don't think this is a shock to anybody. We've kind of beat the horse here on this one. I think at the end of the day, everybody knows that he's going to be a piece that is dangled, probably the most likely piece to be traded. The one that's not necessarily, though, George Kirby. He is a guy that could bring a significant return. A lot of question goes into, is he a guy you're going to pay down the road? He's heading into arbitration. He avoided it this past year. And also, is he your game 1, 2, 3, or 4 starter? I mean, I think there's a lot of debate as far as his value. So between those two, significant value in return. But as far as who gets traded, I mean, either one of these guys could be dealt at the deadline, both with returns that are significantly different.
Yeah. I think that those two guys are being tossed around a lot. I think those two guys could certainly be traded. But I think the one that stands out is the one you're going to talk about next, because I think this is really intriguing.
Yeah, the big one, and I've been reading articles this week, fan review, it's Randy Arozarena. Okay, yes, he's one of their best hitters, if not the best hitter this season. High offensive output, but he has an expiring contract. He has significant defensive issues that we've obviously seen throughout the season. He also will command a significant return on a trade in a year where there are not a lot of great bats, and there are questions about the chemistry issue. So I'll just draw it this way, guys. The Angels had Shohei Ohtani. They let him walk. They did not trade him when they could have had significant value, and they got nothing in return. Look where the Angels are at right now. Arozarena could help give the Mariners current pieces, future assets, or assets to trade. What do you think? Is he a tradable player right now?
All right, I actually don't disagree with your concept of this, but I disagree with it actually happening.
Yeah.
I don't think it could happen because what they need the most on offense is a right-handed bat. And he is not only their best right-handed bat right now, he's probably their best bat. So I can't imagine that if they are buyers at this point, that they'd be getting rid of a valuable right-handed bat like that. Sometimes
the business of professional sports is just mind-boggling sometimes, right? You look at teams that have their best player, the guy that's the most consistent, and I can say he's arguably been the most consistent player on this team this season thus far in the first half. You look at somebody like that and you say, hey, why don't we get rid of him? Like, it doesn't make sense, right? But on the other side, yes, we probably should try to at least explore. Can we get a high value out of this? Can we get the pieces that we need in exchange for him while his value is at its most high?
Yeah, it's like buyers making deals with buyers. And this one intrigues me because if there is chemistry problem in the clubhouse and Randy's part of it, and then that's one reason to get rid of him as you try to make a push for the playoffs. The other reason is, this is a guy who is in the final year of his contract. Jerry DiPoto, we all know, loves to have players he has control over. Right. So club control. Right. And to let a guy go with I think we all pretty much agree they're never going to be able to re-sign this guy in the offseason. He's having a great year. He's going to get a big fat contract from some other team. So if you're not going to have him next year, like you said, Terry, are we pushing all the chips in, keeping this guy, riding the chemistry all the way to try to win it all? Or is it just like we can still win by getting good pieces back and changing the chemistry of the club? So that, to me, is a topic we should keep hitting on because I think it's going to be real intriguing with all the experts talking about it. So interesting stuff. All right, Dusty, appreciate your time, man. Good stuff there.